free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
You support genocide!
You support genocide!
Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
You support genocide!
You support genocide!
That's all Palestinians want to do, brother.
So, everybody, good afternoon. My name is Gabriella, and I am an organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. And I am really happy to be standing here in solidarity with all of you today, fighting for Palestine and against our Staten Island representatives' complicity in the Israeli genocide of the Palestinian people.
All right.
In the words of the great abolitionist Angela Davis, we are no longer accepting the things we cannot change. We are changing the things we cannot accept. We do not accept Israel's siege, occupation, and genocide of Palestine.
Hell no!
We do not accept the U.S.'s normalization of empire building across the globe.
Amen.
We, in the belly of the beast,
Yeah.
do not accept our so-called leaders' complicity in the destruction and dispossession of not only Palestinians, but indigenous people around the world, including in this country and on this very island. Woo! Woo! And we especially do not accept Staten Island Council member Kamilah Hanks' complicity in the Israeli genocide of the Palestinian people. Ms. Hanks has visited Israel multiple times.
Shame!
Multiple times in the last few years, with her most recent trip this past February. Shame!
Shame!
153 days, 6 months, over 30,000 Palestinians martyred, 60,000 Palestinians injured. Every moment, U.S. politicians waste worrying about maintaining their power and position. Another Palestinian mother is starving. Another mother is mourning. Another mother is murdered. This International Working Women's Day, we honor the women of Palestine through our mobilization at Grand Army Plaza in Brooklyn, which will be happening at 6 p.m. today, right after this.
All right.
And also by being here together in front of Kamilah Hanks' office. We will continue to mobilize. We will speak louder. We will march all over this island until Kamilah Hanks says 2 simple words. Cease fire now!
Cease fire now! Cease fire now! Cease fire now! Cease fire now! Cease fire now!
Louder!
Cease fire now! 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 Cease fire now!
That is not a threat, it is a promise. We will continue to mobilize. So now, we are going to get started with our speeches. I am honored to now welcome up to the mic our first speaker, Najla. She is a fierce Palestinian-American Staten Islander, and she is here representing Alwda, Mamas for a Free Palestine, and Staten Island for Palestine. Woo!
Free Palestine!
Yeah!
Woo!
Come join us!
Right?
Come join us! Yeah!
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Najla Kas. Born in Shifa Hospital, and I'm screaming up so she can hear me. Born in Shifa Hospital, raised here in America. As a child, I was given the chance to come and to live a life that every child in Gaza wants. But unfortunately, this genocide has stopped that. here in America are letting every single child's dream in Gaza be destroyed. My family members have been displaced due to this genocide currently happening in Gaza. Every time I do speak to them, their first question to me is, when will this stop? When can we go back home? Will we celebrate Ramadan in our homes? These tents are not fit for all of us to live in. It's cold outside. We have no food. We don't want food dropped from the air. We want to go home. My reply to them is strictly mute. I have no response to them. I don't have any news for them. Miss Kamilah Hanks, she came to Gaza. She went to Israel, but I want her to come to Gaza, and you will be given a deep understanding of the reality of what Palestinian civilians face. You'll also learn about the threat Israel has on the Palestinian children. So when your comment saying that you deeply feel sorry for the Israeli children, you don't know what you're talking about. Come talk to the children of Gaza.
That's right.
Come talk to me. I lived it. I lived it. I lived the smell of the bombs. I lived the fact that I was not able to walk the streets like I am living here, the way I am living here in New York. You stated you came from a rough neighborhood in Staten Island.
Shame.
On your last visit to Israel, and you know a little about living in fear. Girl, again, talk to a Gazan child and a Palestinian mother to understand the real fear of living, the real fear of trying to survive, the fear of losing your mom, the fear of losing your dad, the fear of being bombed at, the fear of losing your sister and your brother, the fear of not having clean water, the fear of not finding dinner for the night, the fear of not finding dinner for the night. No one knows the meaning of fear more than a Palestinian mother and a Palestinian child, a child from Gaza and a mom from Gaza. Again, Kamilah, the continued trauma being felt by the Palestinian people before October 7th and after October 7th will take a long time to do physical and emotional rebuilding. I, as a child, myself, who escaped the first Intifada, I still suffer. I still suffer after 36 years. I still suffer. I still have trauma. Kamilah, as a Staten Island resident who is directly impacted by Israel's genocidal campaign in Gaza, we must make our voices be heard. We call on our city council members to speak out against the violence and call for a ceasefire now. The time is now for Staten Islanders to speak out against this genocide and let our voices heard, and we will be heard.
Our next speaker this afternoon is going to be Paul from the DSA.
Good afternoon. Happy International Women's Day. It should be a happy International Women's Day for every woman, but it's not, because there are tens of thousands who are killed and hundreds of thousands who have been injured in a senseless genocide, millions displaced, millions who are starving. It honestly is infuriating as a Staten Island resident as a human being, as a member of the Jewish community, to have to go and state the obvious to someone who should already know better.
That's right. That's right.
At this point, with the thousands killed in this bloody genocide, I don't know how it doesn't weigh on her conscience. It weighs on all of our consciences at all moments of the day and the night. It infuriates me especially because of her trip to the Zionist state, a deadly ideology that does not represent the Jewish community at all. Staten Islanders have elected officials. Who needs enemies with elected officials like these? Who needs enemies with occupiers that surround us? Who needs enemies when there are people willing to give away city resources for libraries and food and public transit and housing to a Zionist state that's perfectly happy to waste it to spill innocent blood? Kamilah Hanks, you must know that the voters, every single person, must be aware of your trip to Israel, must be aware of your denial to call for a ceasefire, must be aware of your denial to be in touch with humanity. We are here today to put that call forward to you. Ceasefire now.
Ceasefire now.
So, looking ahead to next week, we will be mobilizing against the illegal sales of stolen Palestinian land in Brooklyn at 3 p.m. next Wednesday, March 13th. We'll also be holding a vigil and rally for our martyrs outside the U.S. mission to the UN next Friday, March 15th at 4 p.m. We do want to have a sense of numbers, so if you're interested, you can come up to one of us and we will help connect you to that information. Next up, we have an amazing organizer from the Party of Socialism and Liberation, Omnia.
So I just got my voice back. I'm going to yell. I taught 5 chorus classes today at PS5. So let's see how this goes. I might cough. We're going to try to get through this. So we've known for a very long time that representatives like Kamilah Hanks and actually also Charles Fall, our first Muslim assemblyman, also have gone to Israel. This is not a first time.
Shame.
On paid propaganda trips with our tax dollars. With our tax dollars.
Shame.
We know that their loyalty is being bought. And they're not beholden to us. They're beholden to AIPAC. So we're here to remind Councilwoman Kamilah Hanks that every elected official that claims to represent us, who does not support a free Palestine, will be unseated.
Yes.
That's right.
We will organize to unseat every politician who does not do the bare minimum, which is just saying the word ceasefire.
Primary them all.
We will unseat any representative who does not listen to its Palestinian constituents, to its Arab constituents, to its Muslim constituents. You are beholden to us, not AIPAC. You know, as a Muslim American who grew up on Staten Island, post 9/11, I constantly had to prove my loyalty to this country. Where is your loyalty, Kamilah Hanks?
Yeah.
Who is your loyalty to, Kamilah Hanks? Because it's not to us. It's to the Zionist regime. It's to AIPAC. It's to a foreign government that is killing babies in Gaza. That has killed 9,000 women in Gaza. 9,000 women in Gaza. Today is International Women's Day. And there's 600,000. There's 600,000 women in Gaza who basically don't have access to clean menstrual products, who are getting infections. There are 50,000 pregnant women in Gaza, many who have already given birth without anesthesia, without any type of, they're getting C-sections with no anesthesia. 37 mothers are being killed every day in Gaza. Where is your loyalty, Kamilah Hanks? Who is it to? Because it's not to us. Well, I did not vote for you, but people voted for you, and you are beholden to us, not AIPAC.
That's right.
That's right.
And this is at a time where Staten Island, because we're on the North Shore, all right? We live on the North Shore.
Yeah.
There is record food insecurity on the North Shore. There is record homelessness on the North Shore.
Yep.
Okay? We have the worst health outcomes
Yes.
on
Yes.
Staten Island in
No
the North Shore.
hospital. No hospital.
But instead, our tax dollars are going to send Kamilah Hanks to Israel so that she can talk to the residents of the kibbutz, Kfar Aza, which is where she went, about how they feel unsafe. We just heard from Najla about how unsafe her family has been living in Gaza. So let's talk about how unsafe people feel, okay? It's kind of like going to apartheid South Africa and meeting with the white South Africans and being like, oh, boo, I feel unsafe. That's right. It's kind of like if you went to the Jim Crow South and talked to white residents and said, I feel unsafe. That's right. Kfar Aza, the kibbutz where she went, is next to a concentration camp. And it was a concentration camp before October 7th.
That's right.
It has been a concentration camp for 17 years, where the people of Gaza have been blockaded by air, by land, by sea, where people need an Israeli military permit to leave, even for urgent medical care, by the way. Just to see what apartheid looks like, in Israel, the outcome for breast cancer, the survival rate is 80%. Do you want to know what the survival rate is in Gaza? 33%.
Man.
Shame.
Because of the blockade. Because of the blockade. Because things cannot get in and out. Gaza has been blockaded for 17 years. You want to talk about feeling unsafe, Kamilah Hanks? Go to Gaza. See how people feel there. Because the people living outside of a concentration camp with adequate access to food and to water, they are fine. But you know what? Your residents, who have the worst health outcomes on Staten Island, who are homeless, who are poor, who are struggling with record levels of poverty this year on Staten Island, are not okay. Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
Kamilah
Hanks, you can't hide!
You're supporting genocide!
You're supporting genocide!
Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
You're supporting genocide!
You're supporting genocide!
And another thing, they take the food by parachute and drop it off in the water. Then when the people go collect these food, they're shooting them.
That's right.
They
Shame.
killed her. Shame. Not another nickel. Not another dime.
Not another nickel.
Not another dime. No more money for Israel's crimes.
No more money for Israel's crimes!
Not another nickel. No more money for Israel's crimes. Not another nickel.
Not another dime! No more money for Israel's crimes!
Okay. All right. We are going to move
Other side.
down just a little bit. Just a little bit. We're moving down.
All right. I guess we got some.
I think you should stick around. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so speakers on the street side, and everyone else can audience side.
So yeah. So audience, you guys are going to.
No back.
Sorry. Come here.
He does a safe.
I love them. I love them.
All right. Next up, we are going to be hearing from a Staten Islander. His name is Sean. Give him a round of applause.
Hi y'all, my name is Sean, and I'd like to catch up our community on Councilwoman Kamilah Hanks' unjust and selective compassion towards murdered civilians. 3 days after the events of October 7th, on October 10th, Councilwoman Hanks spoke out in a public forum with other local elected officials where she expressed compassion for Israeli victims alone. At that point, the Palestinians killed were already double that of Israel. On October 30th, as we reached 23 days of the genocidal vengeance campaign, the Palestinian death toll became 8 times larger than Israel's. And Councilwoman Hanks sat down with a corporate media outlet that poses as our local news to recount an experience from a free trip to Israel that was provided to her by the Jewish Community Relations of New York in 2022. Now, one might expect that after visiting a nation internationally recognized as practicing apartheid, she would leave with memories of injustice, perhaps recognizing 30-foot high cement walls as something despicable that we're doing on our own southern border. But instead, Hanks recalled an organized stop along her trip to a settlement near the Gaza Strip, where she was shown the empty shell of a missile that had been fired sometime previously, and Kamilah recounted, quote, "I remember feeling extremely afraid," unquote, from the experience. Now, clearly the missile scraps she was shown posed no immediate danger to her. So the implication by her comment was it was scary to be near those militants, even though she was a full 2 miles from the closest Palestinian she was afraid of. And shame on that corporate news rag, SI Live, that chose to feed into anti-Arab sentiment by reprinting her fear-mongering account.
Shame!
You suck, advance.
These 2.3 million people that we're told are inherently violent look just like me. They should have asked Kamilah why she didn't disclose her 2022 gift of travel to Israel to the conflicts of interest board that the city council is accountable to. She didn't report that until she was called on it by real journalists.
Shame.
Well, along the way, we reached a grim 100th day, and estimates had a Palestinian death toll at 24 times larger than Israel's. People increasingly speaking up, calling out injustice, trying to enlighten one another to try to put an end to this genocide. And as we were all speaking out, Kamilah Hanks suddenly fell silent. No more condemning violence, no more expressing concern for lost lives. But wait, friends, it gets even more shameful. In mid-February, as the death toll became 29 times larger than Israel's, Kamilah Hanks traveled for her second time to Israel.
Shame!
Now she has a seat on committees that are important to Staten Islanders. The Committee on Cultural Affairs, the Committee on Education, the Committee on Finance. Honestly, y'all, what as part of her official duties can be learned in Israel and brought back to Staten Island that won't reek with the stench of genocide?
That's right.
Today, as I speak, there are over 16,000 children of Palestinian descent killed. For every child who dies, 3 become disabled. Still, she remains silent. That brings us to today, as we mourn 154 days of siege, starvation, dehydration in the Gaza Strip. As the death toll today is now 35 times larger in Palestine than in Israel, she remains silent.
Shame.
There are countless criminal acts being committed against Palestinians that we're being made aware of because they posted online. Images and videos that are haunting. Sometimes you can even see them with your eyelids shut. So decent and moral people can't see such things and remain silent. So Councilwoman Hanks, if you hear us, you're on notice today, day 154. Either you recognize the humanity of Palestinians and the international crimes being committed in the Gaza Strip, or voters will toss you into the dustbin of history.
That's right! Yes! You support genocide!
You support genocide!
Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
You support genocide!
You support genocide!
Not another nickel! Not another dime!
Not another nickel! Not another dime!
No more money for Israel's crimes!
No more money for Israel's crimes!
Next up, we are going to hear from Brittany DeBarros from About Face.
My name is Brittany Ramos DeBarros. I'm a proud Staten Island resident and have been for over a decade. I'm also a former captain in the U.S. Army. I know what it feels like to carry a gun in someone else's country and watch families and children flee out of fear and terror of your sheer presence. I know what it feels like to sign up as a young person believing that I was going to be of service, that I was going to be one of the good guys fighting for justice and to protect the good guys and get the bad guys. I bought into all of that logic only to realize that I was in someone else's country with a bunch of people, a chain of command that could not care less about the lives of the Afghan civilians who we were supposedly there to protect. I have felt the weight of responsibility as an officer, as fellow troops and friends died, from the shame and guilt that they felt of being a part of violence that they survived in an actual combat situation. And I have watched as our commander-in-chief has played in our faces, pretending that he is not the commander-in-chief of the strongest and most powerful military on the face of this planet, that gives billions and billions and billions in tax dollars, in our hard-earned taxes, not in humanitarian aid to Israel, but strictly in military aid for a foreign government's military to drop bombs on civilian populations that exist in what some have called an open-air prison in Gaza. And yet it's not an open-air prison because ostensibly, if you are in a prison, you have at least been accused of a crime. And the only thing that the people who are trapped in a blockade, an Israeli blockade that it would be impossible without our tax dollars, are guilty of is being born Palestinian.
Shame!
And there are people who would say, that's not the business of a council member. That's not the business of Kamilah Hanks, our representative here on the North Shore. And to that I say, if she wanted that cop-out, she shouldn't have stuck her nose in this issue and taken trips, propaganda trips to Israel.
Amen.
When she should have been working on supporting small businesses in our communities who are struggling still in the aftermath of COVID. When she should have been supporting our immigrant communities who are trying to get basic services and make sure that their kids are in schools that can take care of them and can support their education. When she should have been working to support our libraries that are getting their funding cut while our tax dollars are sent, and she can't even say the word ceasefire.
Shame.
I know something about responsibility. I know something about leadership. I know what it feels like to be a leader in a broken system and have to figure out how to navigate that. I know what it feels like to realize that your entire worldview was wrong. And so my invitation to Kamilah Hanks is to search your soul, to listen to your constituents,
Or mind your business.
and join the 17 city council members who have already called for a ceasefire. You have an opportunity to align yourself with an international community that is clear on this. The entire international community is clear that it is a genocide that is happening in Gaza and that it would not be happening without the United States.
That's right.
In fact, the majority of American voters across party lines are also clear that we should not be sending any further weapons to support a genocide or tax dollars to support a genocide. Woo! 2/3 of likely voters, that's just likely voters across party lines want a ceasefire. This is not a fringe position. This is not a radical position. It is not a radical left position to be against genocide. Woo! If President Biden announced, instead of deciding that he was going to create a floating island of colonial aid or whatever bullshit he announced last night, if President Biden said tomorrow that Israel was not getting another weapon or another dime until they lifted the blockade would be lifted tomorrow and aid would be able to flow into Gaza. That is a fact. That's right. And he claims otherwise, that he's doing whatever he can while he vetoes UN resolutions for a ceasefire, while he continues to send weapons, while he continues to offer international diplomatic cover, is bullshit.
He's full of shit.
And Kamilah Hanks, you have aligned yourself with not just the far-right government that currently is leading Israel, but the right-wing government that is currently fueling their genocide in the name of Joe Biden.
That's right.
If you do not accept this invitation, I ran a small, but I like to think mighty, congressional campaign in this district. I raised more money than ever in history for an unconditionally pro-Palestine candidate.
Right.
I promise you, I will put all of my energy and resources into making sure that you are removed from office in 2024. Free, free Palestine!
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 From the river to the sea!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free!
From the sea to the river!
From the sea to the river!
Palestine will live forever!
Palestine will live forever!
Awesome. We are very excited to have some young organizers with us today. Next up, we're going to be hearing from a high school student.
Good afternoon. I'm a little sick, so my voice is kind of messed up. I'm going to try to scream, but I can't make any promises. Good afternoon. Brothers and sisters, today we stand here united in solidarity with the Palestinian people. Our voices echo off the streets of Staten Island to the besieged lands of Gaza. We stand before Councilmember Kamilah Hanks' office, not just to protest, but to demand justice, to demand action, and to demand humanity. For too long, our voices have been silenced, our pain ignored, and our lives deemed disposable. Councilmember Hanks, listen closely. For the cries of the oppressed can no longer be drowned by your silence. You were elected to represent us all, yet you have turned a blind eye to the suffering of our Palestinian brothers and sisters. As we gather here, let us remind ourselves of the brutal reality faced by Palestinians every single day. The United States, our own government, pours billions of dollars into the hands of an occupying force that perpetuates violence and oppression. Our tax dollars are funding a genocide, a massacre of innocent children and families. Councilmember Hanks, we demand more than your words. We demand action. We demand accountability, and we demand that you sign an immediate ceasefire resolution, because the blood of innocent Palestinians will continue to stain your hands as long as you remain complicit to this injustice. The United States sends billions of dollars to Israel while our own citizens struggle to afford basic needs. Instead of aiding our schools, the hungry, the homeless, and people living in poverty, this money funds a genocide. It's a moral failure and a betrayal to our values. Today we raise our voices, not just for ourselves, but for those who have been silenced, for those whose homes have been demolished, and for those whose dreams have been shattered by the relentless onslaught of violence. Councilmember Hanks, the time of silence is over, but the time of action is now. Stand with us, stand on the right side of history, and sign the ceasefire resolution. Stand for justice, stand for humanity, and stand for Palestine.
Yes.
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
If we don't get it,
Shut it down!
If the children don't get it,
Shut it down!
If the people don't get it,
Shut it down!
Shut it down!
Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down!
Shut it down!
Our next speaker is going to be Debbie from Peace Action.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here, not because of the issue of Palestine, but to hold Kamilah accountable, because she's using taxpayers. She's taking advantage of her position to have free trips, go on political junkets, and at the same time supporting the government in Israel. And I think that people should be aware that even from the beginning, Kamilah Hanks has not been a friend of Black and Latin people, working people in this island. When some of us were involved in holding the police accountable because of the murder of Eric Garner, and she basically said that he deserved what he got. So this is not a friend of, she never came out against Pantaleo. She never supported anti-racist fighting fighting for the police to be held accountable for that horrible murder. And I think that's from that, her feelings about that, that is why she is capable of turning a blind eye to the U.S. Army, imperialist army, killing thousands, over 30,000 people of color in Palestine. Because she has that same attitude about the rulers should be in control. And I want to say that I'm also a member of Jewish Voices for Peace, and I want to talk a little bit about Zionism, which is, to me, is also extreme nationalism. And that the history of it is that originally there were 45,000 Jews who lived in Palestine, and people lived together. And I feel that they're doing this in the name of security for Israelis at the expense of, and at the same time murdering Palestinians. And I feel that that is not ever going to mean security for anyone in that area. And that Israel was established at the beginning to have a safe base for the U.S. government to control oil resources in that area. And that they do not care about any of the people, whether they're Israelis, whether they're Palestinians. They don't care about any of those working people.
That's right.
They just want to keep their interests in that area, control those interests. And I think that humanity can do better. That, we want a ceasefire now, a permanent ceasefire, not just a ceasefire. It has to end, and we have to look forward as working people to a better society where people have equality, they have justice, they have a social net, they have rights to, education, potential. They want their children to develop their potential. They want health care. All these things for everybody here. And this is not the answer to commit genocide against the Palestinian people. And working people in all, whether you're Israeli, whether you're Palestinian, you need to unite and get rid of the imperialists, get rid of the bosses in those areas, and develop everyone's potential for the future. We're people, we're humanity. We have a right to the best lives that we can possibly have on this earth. And that's the answer.
We love you, Gabby!
Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
You support genocide!
You support genocide!
Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
You support genocide!
You support genocide!
So free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Now I'm going to invite up a comrade from the Party for Socialism and Liberation, Salma.
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
من المية للمياه!
من المية للمياه!
فلسطين عربية!
فلسطين عربية!
ومن المية للمياه!
من المية للمياه!
فلسطين عربية!
فلسطين عربية!
From the river to the sea!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free!
From the sea to the river!
From the sea to the river!
Palestine will live forever!
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 Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Salma. I'm an organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. And we're out here today, like so many of the speakers before me said, to call out Kamilah Hanks for not signing on to the ceasefire resolution. To call out every single imperialist feminist that pretends that they stand for women. Every single one of them. Whether it's our shameful Vice President, Kamala Harris, whether it's Nancy Pelosi, whether it's Kamilah Hanks, whether it's a single one of these women who continue to support the occupation, because staying silent is support of the occupation.
That's right!
Some of these politicians take hundreds of thousands of dollars from AIPAC.
Shame!
They do not represent us. They do not represent the working class people. And on International Working Women's Day, we have a duty to call them out. This day has been whitewashed, has been corporate washed by the media. But we know the real origin of this day. International Working Women's Day is a day to celebrate our struggle, to continue to commit ourselves to resistance. In Gaza right now, women are giving birth, having C-sections without anesthetics, without anesthesia.
Shame!
Women are starving. 70% of the 30,000 people murdered in Gaza are women and children.
Shame!
We as people of conscience have a duty to stand up for the Palestinian people.
That's right.
To stand up for all occupied people. We understand that our struggles are connected, whether we live here in the belly of the beast or whether we live in Palestine. Here in Staten Island, where we are constantly called the most racist borough, y'all are proof that Staten Island is changing.
Oh, yeah.
And we are going to continue to fight. So many faces that I know and so many new faces. So I salute every single one of you for coming out, for committing yourself to the resistance. Together, we are united. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people across the world who stand for Palestine.
That's right.
And we know that we, the working class people of the world, we have the power to end the occupation. So we say, end the occupation now!
End the occupation now!
We want justice, you say how?
We want justice, you say how?
End the siege on Gaza now!
End the siege on Gaza now!
We want justice, you say how?
want justice, you say how?
End the siege on Gaza now.
End the siege on Gaza now.
Thank you, everyone.
Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
You support genocide!
You support genocide!
Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
Kamilah Hanks, you can't hide!
You support genocide!
You support genocide!
So folks, we have a wonderful Palestinian American organizer here. She is a Staten Islander and she is going to be our last speech, so please give her a warm welcome. Roxanne!
Israel bombs! New York City pays! How many kids did you kill today?
Israel bombs! New York pays! How many kids did you kill today?
Israel bombs! New York City pays! How many kids did you kill today?
Israel bombs! New York City pays! How many kids did you kill today?
We have to bring this issue back to New York City, to Staten Island, and that's why we're here. We've been trying to talk to Councilmember Hanks. We've been trying to let you know how this issue affects us. There is no reason we should be picketing here to ask you to do your job and represent us.
That's right!
This is not the first time we've been here, and this will not be the last time.
That's right!
Let this be a notice to all the elected officials who have chosen to disregard my humanity as a New York City, Staten Island resident, and not even acknowledge us as human beings. Let this be a wake-up call that we are ready to come out here every day if we have to. Do we need to set up a kibbutz here for Councilwoman Hanks to hear us? We could do it if you want, but you could just take a meeting just from one of us and not put us down when we ask you to talk about Palestine. Not put us down when we ask you when our hearts are being twisted apart to talk about Gaza. You could not put us down and not look down on us when we're just asking for a conversation. There's no reason I should be talking to the cops here. This is not an issue. This is my First Amendment rights, and I'm asking her to do her job. I'm doing my job as a constituent. I'm sorry you even have to be here. You shouldn't have to be here. Who told you, 120, that you need to be here while we exercise our First Amendment rights? Who told you that? We're here pleading for children whose body parts are under the rubble. 1 week before Ramadan, while our leaders up and down the Democratic Party are talking about a 6-week ceasefire? What the hell does that mean, guys? Do you all think we're idiots? Do you think that as the 120, who I have used for good purposes, and I appreciate you, but do you think that you're looking at me here, asking for you to let me talk to my councilwoman is an issue that we have to escalate like this?
Right.
Come on, guys. Why have we normalized this ridiculousness? It's been normalized. We're just doing our jobs, acting like there aren't thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people that have been killed just in these last 6 months now. But just as a reminder, I've been watching this my whole life. It's just accelerated. And we still have to act like we're doing our jobs. Everything's all good. Councilwoman Hanks can go to Israel and talk about the glorified settlement called the kibbutz. That's not right. We're all here to remind her that that's not right. We're here peacefully protesting and exercising our First Amendment rights. We know what they look like. We will not let you normalize that this is what we're doing. This is what freedom looks like, everybody. This is what barricades and fences is not what freedom looks like. It's not. Don't let them fool you, officers. Don't let them fool you. We're not fooled. That's why we're here. We're not fooled. We know this isn't normal. This isn't the ideals and the aspirations we aspire to. We also know that it is awfully weird for a council person, a local representative, to go to another country.
Absolutely.
What the hell is that? Does Saudi Arabia offer council people all expenses for the trip? If they did, do you think they would go? No. Well, David said they'd go there. I believe David. I believe David. It still doesn't make it right.
That's right.
Councilwoman Hanks, we are in deep pain. I am in deep pain as a Palestinian American. Najla is in deep pain watching her family run for their lives every day as a Gazawi, as a Gazan citizen. But we are all in deep pain. We don't have to be Palestinian. We've been in deep pain, Kamilah Hanks. Yet you give us these platitudes. We all talked about those things that she said. Do you think we didn't hear you? We heard you and we watched you not see us. We watched you look right through us as if we weren't human. Not just that we're not your constituents, but we're not even human. How could you say those things? You're afraid in Israel proper, a few kilometers away from a concentration camp that's being actively bombed? Let me not talk emotion right now. Let me talk some numbers. Maybe that'll get us, you know, sometimes data works, right? Sometimes numbers work because do you think we're emotional? No, it's the emotion that's driving us to be here. But let me show some facts for you. I think everyone shared this, but it bears repeating. 30,000 Palestinians have been killed, murdered, bombed. It's been 150 days of this, watching a genocide in real time with our phones. You can't say things and act like we're not seeing reality. It is you who looks like you do not join us here in reality. There's 12,000 children that have been killed. That's an astonishing number. I saw a graph that said that in all the wars, in all the countries, there have still been more children killed in the last 5 months. That's a staggering thought, Councilwoman Hanks. Have you acknowledged that? 70% of everyone who's been killed are women and children. And 1.7 people have been displaced.
And they're trying to kill me.
The majority of Americans and the majority of Democrats want a ceasefire. Kamilah Hanks, have you polled your constituents and asked them if they want a ceasefire? Have any of you been asked?
No.
So no one has been asked. Where is she getting her data from then? Where is she getting her data? Where is she getting her information if it's not the constituents?
From Israel.
From the people who give her money.
That's right.
From the people who give her money.
Yes.
We give her money too. Let me break it down for you. Again, let me give you some data if you don't want to hear our emotion. New York City sends 118 million federal taxpayer dollars to the Israeli occupation forces that are committing a, legally speaking, plausible genocide. Socially speaking, a real-life genocide. You know what you could do with that money, council members and staff members who work for our councilwoman? You could supply public housing for 14,000 households in 1 year.
That's right.
You could provide 41,000 children with low-cost health care. Basic health care for 41,000 children in your constituency. You could provide over 1,000 elementary school teachers with a raise. You could provide 300,000 households with solar electricity, just produced in 1 year. You could resolve and cancel the debt of students, 3,000 students, with that money that's paying for a genocide. You can even pay for 100 million N95 respirators. What would you rather do? Staff members, city workers, would you rather keep funding bombs or do you want to help your constituents? Do you want to put cops here wasting their time for peaceful protest or actually pay them to do real work?
That's right.
17 council members have called for a ceasefire, Councilwoman Hanks. people, Shahana Hanif, Alexa Aviat, Tiffany Caban, Chi Ose, Althea Stevens, Carmen De La Rosa, Crystal Hudson, Lincoln Wrestler, Jennifer Gutierrez, Sandy Nurse, Pierina Sanchez, Natasha Williams, Yusuf Salam, Rita Joseph, Carlita Rivera, Justin Brennan, and Chris Marte. And some of those have changed their minds to demand for a ceasefire in the last week. Yay. Councilwoman Hanks, you could be the 18th member that we need. You can do right. You can make this right and get us closer to a ceasefire resolution in New York City. And you could do us right. You wouldn't even have to talk to any one of us. Just come out and say that you demand a ceasefire now. Folks, you know, we're here all the time. We've been out in these streets. Staten Island is not silent. Don't let anybody tell you that Staten Island is silent. Staten Island is not a conservative red borough. Staten Island is a very caring borough. We're a working class borough. We're a diverse borough. I see people here in our 120 that look diverse. We need to make sure we're proud of that and not just represent one brushstroke of people. All of us are here, Arabs, Palestinians, Muslims from all countries in Staten Island, representing multiple countries. We are all here asking for a ceasefire, and we need to have our councilwoman start talking to us and stop ignoring us, because her silence is complicity, and we've had enough. All right, I'm losing my voice, and I'm not used to screaming like this.
We love you, Roxanne!
I love you. I love you for being here. I love you for not being worn down. I love my sister Najla for tearing out her heart every single time to do this for our families back home. I love all of you. We need to remember love and camaraderie and not have this antagonism, guys. There's nothing to be antagonized about. There is nothing wrong with asking for a ceasefire. There's nothing wrong with recognizing the hundreds of thousands. Honestly, it's 100,000 people who have died. The 30,000 number, we all know that that's not right. Yes. It's 100,000 people. Come on, guys. Come on, in every little way that we can. Officers, staff workers, business people, courthouse, people passing by in every way, stand up and show up for the Palestinian people in the smallest way, because by doing that, you're standing up for our collective humanity. And that's what I'm asking you to find. We found it already. We're here just to remind you. We're just here to remind you. Don't be upset. Don't be distracted. We're angry. We're upset, because that's how much we love each other. Enough is enough. All right. Free Palestine.
Free Palestine!
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 From the river to the sea!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free!
So free Palestine!
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 I want to thank you all for coming out today and spending this afternoon with us. Please give all of our speakers a big round of applause. Give yourselves a round of applause for showing up in Staten Island. Everybody matters. We hope to see you at 6 p.m. at Grand Army Plaza today. If you can't make it, we hope you will come out on Wednesday, March 13th at 3 p.m. to the UN mission. And if you are unable to make it to that, Friday, March 15th, we will also be out in the streets until there is a ceasefire, a permanent ceasefire, until they have lifted the siege, until all land has been given back.
Yes.
If you would like to get some educational materials, we have Layla over there. There is a table. You can take materials with you, and we hope to see you at future actions. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Can't ignore us any longer!
longer!
Can't ignore us any longer!
Can't ignore us